I have two very similar reports in Marshall Management. That is the student hour breakdown and the instructor hour breakdown. Since these reports are so similar, I'm going to go ahead and cover them inside of one video. The student hour breakdown is a report on student hours to show where students are spending their hours. Again, you can select data from a particular school, a particular date range, or all dates, and students out of particular groups. And so this way you can narrow down data again, just like we have done with the other reports. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what this report has. Again, you have your header information up top with your buttons and so forth. And then you get a table, and in that table you will see that you have a student name, and then you can say for a particular month and a year, and the class type and hour type. So what I read from this is that in January of 2013, Harvey Adams attended 14 hours worth of normal classes. He has a grand total of 14 hours for the month of January 2013. As we come down, we'll see in February 13, again, he has 8 hours of normal class time for a grand total of 8 hours for February 2013. Well, let's come down and take a look at Mark's record. So we have Mark, and we can see that for January 2013, he has 10 hours worth of dojo visits, he has 8 hours worth of normal classes, and 4 hours worth of testing credit, where he may have tested, he may have just attended testing. We tend to give credit if someone attends and participates in testing, they still get class time hours. And so that we can see that his grand total of hours for the month of January is 22. And then in February, we have 2 hours of dojo visit, 4 hours of normal, and 4 hours of teaching. And so we can say, oh, okay, well, you know, Mark has some teaching time in February for a grand total of 10 hours for that month, and then his 2013 grand total is 32 hours, and that appears in a slightly different color so that you can pick that out. And so basically this is just a month-by-month view of student broken down by month, further broken down by class type, and then listing out the hours for those classes. So as you continue on down, you can see that happens for each student. Now if we come back up and let's say we want to include a much larger range, then it's doable, but again, you know, the larger range that you pick, then of course you're going to get a lot more data. So we can see Raquel here, we can see all the way from January, her records from January all the way through to February of this year, January of last year to February of this year. So breaking down, and it'll break it down by year too. Total hours for 2012 was 100, that kind of thing. So this is the student hour breakdown. You can also run the instructor hour breakdown. It has the exact same criteria for selection, but all this does is this just gives you the instruction hours. So you can see that Mark has 4 hours of instruction in January, 4 hours of instruction in June, 2 hours of instruction in July, for a grand total of 10 hours of instruction time for the entire year. And so this is, the instruction time is calculated based on who is selected as an instructor for a given class. And so that is the instructor hour breakdown, very similar to the student hour breakdown, but it only includes instruction hours. Some schools have a requirement that you track the number of hours that are spent instructing classes as part of your requirements as well. And so this will help to make sure that any given student does have that requirement in place.